So I bought my house here in Abbotsford October of 2023, and at that time, nobody was buying anything. The market was in the gutter. Fixed rates were at 7%. I put out a TikTok video talking about how I bought this house. I bought a house 3 weeks ago. I paid $1,061,000. Went super viral. Got like 600,000 views just because the idea that somebody would even consider purchasing a house at that time was so outlandish and so obscure that it just went super viral. I got so many comments being like, you're an idiot, you're gonna go bankrupt. So let's see how I actually did on that purchase. All right, so here we are today, October 2024, sitting at $1.195 million. And in October of 2023, $1.177 million. So according to the HPI, detached homes in Abbotsford are actually up about $18,000. Now, if we look at this graph right here, you'll see that yes, prices have come down. However, the price declines are starting to basically round out here. It looks like we're rounding out into a bottom, and then prices typically go up in the spring, but who knows? But it looks like we're rounding out right now, and it just seems like we are slowly trying to grind higher when it comes to the detached market. Now, that being the case, I think it's a good time to get into the detached market as interest rates are coming down. It doesn't seem like we have a lot of sell pressure left in that segment of the market, and the picture seems like it's slowly starting to get better. I know a lot of people might argue that the economy is terrible and there's a whole bunch of terrible stuff on the horizon. Maybe so, but also maybe not. And at a fundamental level, why corrections come to an eventual end is because the market runs out of sellers. There is nobody willing to let go of their assets at these prices in these current conditions anymore. Therefore, less sell pressure. Therefore, buyer demand starts to outpace the sell pressure, and that sparks a reversal in prices. And I believe that the detached market has been running out of sellers for the last year for these reasons. So number one, I believe there's just less reasons overall for somebody who lives in a detached home for them to actually want to sell their house, right? Like if we compare it to the condo market that's typically occupied by more investors, investors have a lot of reasons to sell right now. Their mortgages went way up, they have a bad tenant, they're cash flow negative on these properties, they're completing on a pre-sale that they're underwater on. There's a lot of reasons why people need to sell in the condo market. When we look at the detached market, people have been living in these homes for 10, 20 years, even 8 years. They're typically more affluent. There's a lot of people who own these homes completely mortgage free. Therefore, they're a lot less affected by these interest rate increases. A year or two, I would say about 18 months ago, you had a lot of options to move somewhere way cheaper if that's what you wanted to do, if you were that affected by the mortgage rates, right? Like Calgary hadn't gone up 20, 30%. Edmonton hadn't gone up a bunch, and the delta between those cities made it worth it for people to want to sell their home in Surrey and then move to Calgary. But now that the prices have increased so much in these tertiary markets, it's making sense for a lot less people to actually want to make that move, sell in a market that's down 20, 30%, and then buy into one that's up 20, 30%. A big thing that we were talking about for a long time was the mortgage renewal crisis, right? And that made a lot of sense when people were going from 2.5%, 3% all the way up to 6.5%. Well, now people are going from 2.5%, 3% to somewhere around 4%, mid fours, possibly high threes, depending on their situation, how much equity is in the property. So the mortgage renewal crisis isn't really a real concern anymore for a lot of people. And then I think a big thing is that, and this takes years to play out, but it does have some type of effect on the market, is that every year we tear down detached homes and we replace them with condos and townhomes. So every year the detached market has a less overall available supply of homes to purchase just because there's actually less homes that exist within that market. And then you take a look at, detached homes that have a suite downstairs. I just put out a video on this showing the numbers. If you were to buy $1 million detached home with a suite in comparison to like a $715,000 townhome, the detached home with a suite is actually more affordable than the townhome. It's about $300 to $500 per month more affordable to buy a detached home with a suite than it would be a townhome. So you combine all these things, and in my opinion, there's just a lot less people willing to sell their property at these prices under these current conditions. The market is running out of sellers. Therefore, there's less sell pressure in that segment of the market. Now, keep in mind, I could be completely wrong. This is all theory. This is a thesis. And if it makes sense to you, appreciate you. If it doesn't, then just leave me a horrible comment like pretty much everybody does all the time. But I would recommend buying a detached home anywhere around Abbotsford, Mission, Chilliwack. And why specifically all the way out there is that is your highest cap rate. That is the best rent you're going to receive in comparison to the purchase price you pay. You also pay way less for those properties. properties, your risk is a lot less because you're receiving more rent in comparison to the expenses you have to pay. And at the end of the day, as I've shown in many videos, you're probably going to receive the same amount of appreciation as you would, say, buying another 30 minutes west anyways. So you might as well buy somewhere that's cheaper, that's less risky, where you receive better cap rates. Now, in all this, I'm not saying that prices are going to start going up for detached. I'm just saying that I think it's a safe time to get in because I don't think there's a lot of pain yet to come in that market. To see detached homes drop more, you'd probably have to see townhomes and condos drop significantly from where they are, and then you would start to see more pain in the detached market. And then when you look at condos and townhomes, they're already selling far below pre-sale prices. So if you can't bring that product to market anywhere close to resale value, people just aren't going to bring that product to market. Not that prices wouldn't go down in that situation either. I'm just saying in any investment, it's a calculated risk. You look at the probability. What's my probability of getting completely screwed here? And I think your probability looks pretty good when you buy a detached home. Now, if you want to buy a detached home, give me a call. I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move EU.